Good afternoon, guys. Just want to correct something first before I start this video. I misspoke the last time about this block. It's actually honed to 99.75 millimeters as opposed to the 92 that I talked about, and it has a crank from a nitride treated 2017 STI. So just wanted to cover that before I continue. So for today, what we're going to be doing is installing the heads. Well, as far as we can go today, because there's certain things that I may be missing or lacking, and we'll cover that in the next few minutes. So you guys noted on the last video that I had some concerns about the gasket and the short block not matching with the passages. Let me see if you guys can see that. So in essence, I'm kind of concerned about the turbulence that this might create. Doesn't have the free flow that I wish it would have, but looking at the head side, it does match. So I'm assuming that the concern isn't as huge because that's how these folks designed it, and I'm assuming that it's been tested and proven that isn't a non-issue. I would tilt this over, but the cams isn't on and the buckets might just fall out, but the ports does match on the head side. So we're just gonna leave it as is and go ahead and proceed with this head install. So before you drop the head in, just make sure that the dowels are in and that the gasket is seated properly. I don't know if this has been covered, but the dowels are on the top side on both ends. I don't see that being covered anywhere, and the shop manual really is difficult to try and kind of discern from their diagrams where that dowels might be, but it is on the top side. So just in case this hasn't been covered, as I haven't really seen anybody talk about it, the designation for where those heads will go is indicated by this marking here on the short block. L25 meaning left hand side, and the R25 being the right hand side. And you will be able to find that on the head where it says right hand and left hand being the driver's side. So what I'm going to be doing next is putting lube on the threads, and the reason why I'm doing that before dropping the head in, well, not necessarily literally dropping it, but laying the head over the short block, is because the area is pretty tight on the short block to be able to cleanly put lubricant on these threads. So I'm going to do that ahead of time before I lay down the head. So one of the things that I have seen is that folks are adding lubricant on both sides of the washers, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean them because ARP suggested that they be completely clean, and and not have any sort of oil, grease, or any of that on the washers at all. And the only lubricant that needs to be applied is at the bottom of these nuts. So let's go ahead and clean these and make sure that they don't have anything on them. So just to cover real quickly what I am putting on the short block as far as the heads are concerned, these are stock heads that I pretty much got hot tanked, and it has a pocket port. It has 32 millimeter GSC stock size exhaust valves that are chrome polished. Another set of GSC 36 millimeter stock size intake valve, also chrome polished, and the springs are GSC single beehives and titanium retainers. So I believe these also has bronze guides, and of course the milling and all of the assembly was done at the shop. Now these buckets they were sized for the stage 1 Brian Crower cams that I had on here when I sent them over to get work. These are all brand new buckets. So unfortunately, fortunately, which however you want to look at it, I've decided to go stage 3, BC 280 degrees, as opposed to the 261 that I had on here previously. Now the cams, the stage 3 cams, is going to net me. It's going to allow me to go 35 pounds of boost and net me about, I believe it's rated for 9,500 RPMs. So hopefully that'll give me a little bit more power. And well, I guess the unfortunate part of it is the fact that I've got a clearance these buckets now for the new cams, and being that they're like 25 bucks to 30 bucks each, it's going to be a pretty penny. I'm assuming they're not going to stay the same size, so I'm most likely going to be replacing all these new buckets with new ones that are properly clearanced for the new cams that I'm going to be using. So another added cost, but I guess all for power, right? So anyway, so that's the summary of the heads that I'm putting on the short block, and hopefully, like I said, it'll net me more power. So those are the stage 1 cams that I was talking about. The other set is over there. They do have receipts. They came back from being polished and cleaned by the shop. So, just comment down below. Let me know if you guys are interested. So back to the heads. Now, ARP is calling for tightening these guys 30 foot-pounds, then 60, and then 90. So the sequence is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do that once with 30, do that with 60, and do that again with 90 as the final torque. So it's starting to look a lot like a long block. I had to move the engine stand just so that I can get better lighting. The lighting in my garage really isn't all that great, and it's somewhat almost dusk, and the sun really isn't shining as much. And the lighting in my garage is pretty bad, so eventually I'm going to update that. I do have some lighting in mind that's supposed to be pushing out like 6,000 lumens, I believe, LEDs. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, well, actually, wait a second. Is it me, or does it seem like this long block has the landscape of like the Death Star? You know when Luke flies in and drops the bomb? Kind of like this. And then drops. Anyway, sorry. Just had to do that. Anyway, so what I'm going to do next is probably going to be on the next video, since I'm waiting for my micrometer. The one that I have, I can't measure the buckets because it doesn't have the ability to go inside and measure the thickness of the bucket. As you can see, I took out the buckets simply because they would just drop because I don't have the cams in. So I labeled it, made sure that it's properly labeled, just so that I know where they go. But most likely they're not going to go back because, as I've stated earlier, I'm putting in a new set of stage 3 cams. So you guys can look up the spec for that, but it's supposed to give me a lot more RPMs and generate more boost. So one of the things I need to do next also is, I don't know if you see this, the previous owner painted the caps or the bracket. I don't know, maybe it's just my anal self, but I need to make sure that this is out. I've already done the other one. So I've already cleaned it off of paint. So hopefully this one isn't going to be so difficult. But anyway, it's just a pain. But one other thing too, just to note, because I don't think it's been covered a whole lot, what I ended up using was 9/16 12 point for the ARP 2000 head studs. That was the only thing that was fitting properly. So that came in handy. Just actually had to make a stop at the hardware shop to grab that, because the socket was missing. Usually, I'm at a point now where I'm not going to be lending any tools, because things just either takes a long time to get back or just never gets back. So before I shut down this video, I think that'll be it for this session. I just want to give a quick update, as some folks have asked what's going on with the other cars. I'm not neglecting them, just been busy, and I don't really have the kind of funding that most people would think I do. So for the GTR, looking to go a stroker kit, probably like a 2.9 liter. PPG, sequential transmission, maybe, I don't know. And the STI, you guys already know. The Supra, I am probably most likely going to build the lower end, use it as a spare motor, just kind of build it slowly, and eventually maybe do a 3.2 liter stroker for this one, and build heads, etc., and set aside the V160 and go maybe a T56 Magnum. Or maybe even sequential also. As for the NSX, that's going to remain, oops, I almost dropped the phone. That is going to remain NA. Probably just do some exhaust and header mods until, of which, if I can afford a Science of Speed boosted motor, I will go that route. And then for the FD, I've always wanted to get back into a 20B. But 4-rotor NA, it's starting to kind of creep in. Providing, of course, I can afford all of this. It's going to be a slow process, so if you guys just want to follow me throughout the process, and just be patient, because it's going to take a while. hopefully some of my investments work well, and I could do this a lot quicker. But at this point, is just piecemealing it. So just the buckets alone for the sous vide is gonna probably set me back a little bit. Just picked up the cams and some of the little things, odd bits here and there, like hoses. It's gonna eventually add up. So anyway, guys, till next time, like always, be kind and stay humble. See ya.